I'm Paul Rose. I'm the chair of the Westford Republican Town Committee. Welcome to our review tonight. Let me put forth right up front that this is not a debate. We're not here to discuss to argue the pros and cons and our own opinions about the articles on the town warrant for the upcoming annual town meeting. We're here to get the story behind the story. I know a lot of people go to town meeting. They've done the research, they've read the warrant, they think they know what's going on, and you get to town meeting and you still really don't know exactly what it is that's going to happen as a result of your yes and no. So that's what we're here for tonight. And what's behind that and why the Republican Town Committee is sponsoring this is we do have an agenda tonight, but it has nothing to do with any of the articles. It has to do with participating audience, so that we can begin to have more people go to town meeting that really understand what's being discussed at town meeting, so that we can make more informed and educated decisions on what's going on at town meeting. So the more people who are knowledgeable going in the door, the better result we'll all have as a town coming out of the door. And that's what we're all here for tonight. We have a long agenda, and I know we could be here far longer than the library will appreciate us being here. And we could do that on any number of these individual articles, by the way. So we're not going to do that tonight. What we're going to try and do is go through, and we have an agenda, and I'm going to be the bad guy, so I'll be the one keeping time. And what we'd like to do is we'll go through the agenda that I hope everybody picked up on the way in the door. And please note that that has a number of additions to that. It has the motions that will show up that are in the warrant. We have some additional information from the recycling committee. Thank you to them for sending that. And Ellen, I see you've joined us, so didn't know whether you were going to be here or not. Please take a look at the information that's in there. And what we'll do is we have somebody who will speak to the individual articles as a beginning, and then we'll open it up to a question and answer period. And again, we should focus on the facts behind the article, how it's written, how it's going to be determined, and what the potential outcomes are at town meeting based on the article that it's written against that particular issue. And with that, let's start right off with the financial articles. And Rose O'Donnell is here to give us some information on the financial articles. And Rose, would you care to come up here? And I won't make you stop at 10 after.
I actually found out about this meeting today at 10. Mike Quincy was coming, and he's traveling, so he called me and asked me if I would come. And not knowing anything about what was going to happen here, I said sure. Or having done this before. Do you want me to just comment on each one? I don't exactly know what you're expecting.
It's up to you. Whatever information you can add to the particular articles, that would be great.
Okay. I'll just, if you don't mind, open my book to refresh my own memory. The amendments to the wage and classification plan, there were a few jobs that were reclassified. I think they're in here. Mostly going up a band because the personnel committee reviewed those positions and determined that they should be at a higher band. It doesn't mean that anyone, and everybody was very careful about that, will necessarily get a raise with the band that they're in. One was the secretary to the town manager. One was a counselor, I think. The senior center. Oh, somebody can remember. Does anyone know what page it's on? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. No, I got it. Yes. And one was the finance and budget analyst. That's Dan O'Donnell, and we know a lot about him. He does an absolutely spectacular job because he services us on the finance committee. So we approved all of those. I do have a little more. Am I allowed to say anything about meetings I've been to recently? So we were at a meeting on Tuesday night, the Personnel Committee, on the position of the Director of Land Use Management, and in attendance were the planning board, the the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Affordable Housing Committee and a couple of members of the Finance Committee. Basically, the issue is Norman Kamalo, who is our current assistant town manager, is leaving for another position. And he has done 2 jobs for the last N years. Assistant town manager with a lot of town responsibilities and town kind of work. And then this land use management job, which is in service of those 3 boards. So the 3 board representatives made eloquent pleas for the amount of work that Norman does and how important it is, and how they never could get along without him because they're not, they're all volunteers. And it turns out the phrase they used was he did 70% of the work he did was on land use management, and only 30% of his time was on other town issues. And then Jody Ross got up and made an impassioned plea that she needs a full-time assistant town manager because in the town government side of things, they're really dying with way too many complicated things to do, and that Norman, as she said, starts working on her stuff at 4 o'clock in the afternoon after spending most of the day on land use stuff. So it was pretty clear after listening to everyone, at least to me, that there are 2 full-time jobs there. So the Personnel Committee voted to recommend that there's a new position of Director of Land Use Management be set at a band 8, which is the same band level as the town manager. So I think it was important. And one of the issues was, how are we going to express to town meeting everything we heard tonight that made it so clear that both of these positions were critical to efficient and well-run government. So that's that one. Any questions that I could answer or that I can't answer? Valerie?
I wanted to know if the positions were in the current budget.
I believe that, I probably shouldn't say anything. Ingrid and I whispered a little bit, and I think we need to find funding for one of the positions. The assistant town manager is, because that's what Norman's putative title is. The land management one I don't think is funded yet, so we were going to have to go and find some money for that. And that's still work to be done, so I would have to do that. I think we would try very hard to try to do that within the current budget by doing who knows what, moving things around.
What would a director of land management used to do? I guess it's work to support some of the boards you mentioned.
The list is so long. Just coming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I have the paper. It goes on and on and on and on and on. Basically, he supports the boards.
Is that the
But he does. He would oversee the building inspector, the planner, the conservation and research planner. So he'd have the town employees now who work on permitting and planning would report to him. He develops and coordinates creative solutions and approaches to land use management, prepares annual departmental budgets, attends all the land use board meetings, acts as the town's principal liaison with citizens, developers. One of the critical things that they said he does is the negotiations for the mitigation funds that we get in, and we get millions of dollars in mitigation kinds of value from the developers when they do things. So it's a highly critical and very time-consuming job. I mean, it goes on and on and on, but that was one of the biggest things, is dealing with the developers, dealing with permitting, dealing with new developments and land use, right, the whole thing.
Rose, is that information available on the town's website if people were interested in going to look at it?
I believe so. I think someone said it was posted.
Okay.
But I don't know that firsthand. So, I mean, that was the point. This is a full-time job, and do they need a master's degree? And there was some conversation about, well, what about somebody with a lot of experience? But very clearly a critical job for the town, and would pay for itself, obviously, in the mitigation stuff, because if you had a less capable person or somebody doing it part-time, they wouldn't be able to negotiate those kinds of deals. No, you don't do it in half an hour.